different injury. Newman hasn't ruled himself out of the World Cup, but Rowan Smith certainly ruled him out of the rest of the Super League season and the playoffs. So that'll be interesting to see Newman bounce back. And then Wire outside back Connor Wrench, his injury that we talked about him picking up, it's actually going to be a 9-month layoff for him, anterior cruciate ligament injury. So that's not just going to affect him back end of this year. That's going to see him miss a sizable period of action in 2023 as well. So that's a shame for the young kid who signed a new deal this year, was clearly one of the favourites of Daryl Powell. He picked him over some more established players throughout the year. So that's a bit of a knockback for him, but he's young enough to bounce back, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hopefully he will. And, there's enough other players that have come back from it, aren't there? So hopefully they can get around him or at least inspire him that it's doable still.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, moving around a bit on Friday night. St Helens now hosted Hull KR 20-0 at half-time, so kind of game done, you'd think. 38-12 was the final score. 10,048 was the crowd. Chris Kendall was the referee. St Helens kept Hull KR to under 1,000 metres. They've done that to pretty much everyone this year, haven't they? And made over 1,400 metres themselves. Better average game for Saints and 12 breaks to 5. They made more errors, otherwise they might have run up a bigger score margin than what they even did there. What about individuals?
Yep, so for St Helens it was Tommy Makinson with 2 tries, 190 metres, 5 clean breaks and 3 successful offloads. John Bennison with 1 try, 1 try assist, 5 tackle busts, 153 metres and 4 clean breaks. Ignatius Passy with 6 tackle busts and 130 metres. And Jack Wellesby with 1 try, 2 try assists, 109 metres. And for the losing Rovers, it was just Will Tate that makes the lineup with 1 try, 118 metres and 3 successful offloads.
Just the one fan viewing on this one. Tom Andrews said, well, a better team than anticipated put up a valiant effort. I'm not convinced our first 17 would have put up a better score. Great for Barley. Fun fact, he's Paul Cook's nephew, to get a debut try, and that took some finishing. At least we didn't get FC'd. Nice to have a slightly stronger lineup than anticipated, and outstanding for Barley to get... It said the same thing twice. 3 games left. Let's hope to build some foundations for 2023, he says. I think he's put 2 fan reviews in. I put them together and not realised that he said some of the same things. I think, Tom was expecting a real hammering. I think most people predicted a pretty big win. To be honest, it was still a pretty big margin of victory, wasn't it, for St Helens side, who seemed to think they needed to kick 2s in the first half. Most of the tries in the first half came through goals rather than tries, it seemed like.
Yeah, I mean, they're obviously slightly concerned.
Makinson being back is a boost for Saints, I think, heading into the playoffs. He did make a mistake that led to Will Tate's try, but he scored most of Saints' points, and he's there to finish off tries. He's amazing on exit set carries. We know all this stuff. His touchline conversions in this game were a feature as well. Saints are the worst goal kicking side, I think, in the competition. So, or at least one of. So having their first choice, well, second choice, I think Lewis Dodd was the first choice, but one of their first choice kickers back in the side is a big for them, isn't it? I think at this stage of the season they need him to get his form on. Coote didn't have his kicking boots on, did he? Converted none of the 3 tries that KR scored.
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Saints are a team that you sort of don't think of them as being great at kicking, and I think if something's going to catch them out when it gets to the playoffs, it will be their goal kicking. I think will be the issue for them.
Yeah, I didn't seem to hugely affect him in this game, but Will Hapuai went off with a bit of a tight hamstring. I think again he's going to miss at least one of the games this weekend, maybe both. So but they just move things around, put Wellesby back at fullback, Roby into the halves, and Wellesby's try, that was a really good try. I thought he threw a really good pass out to the wing to Bennison, and then I'm not 100% sure the one back inside from Bennison wasn't a forward pass, but to be honest, Wigan had one of our own like that this week on our best try of our match, so I'll stay relatively quiet on that one. But I think the game was over after Lussick scored his trademark dummy half try, and that's when Saints started thinking about being cautious with some of the players and that sort of thing. So,
well, if you can at this stage ahead of 2 games over a weekend, then you're going to be, aren't you?
Exactly. And then the sort of late show from Hull KR kicked into gear. There were some nice moments. Good team play for the Kane Linnett try. Tom's talked about young Barley getting his debut try. So, I don't. In a weird way, I imagine both sets of fans were quite okay with this match.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us what's been happening around the news around these sides?
Yeah, so George King has had a grade A dangerous contact charge, but it's 0 match penalty notice. And Hull KR fullback Lachlan Coote has been ruled out for the rest of the season after suffering a 3rd concussion this year. And protocols mean that he has to have specialist treatment now, doesn't it?
Well, it is a worry, isn't it, when he's at that? He seemed to play most of this game, so it must have been very late on that came to light.
Yeah, it was I think 70-something minute that it happened. And Hull KR have signed Wakefield Trinity back rower James Batchelor on a 2-year deal. The 24-year-old will join the Robins for the 2023 season.
Yeah, Tom got in touch on that. He said, touched on it last week, but this is an outstanding signing. Probably my favourite of the 5 so far. 23 is looking bright.
Yeah, and the suggestion is he waited until Wakefield was safe before he announced it, which I always think shows, a bit of class.
Yeah, I mean, we'll maybe could have touched on this when we talked a bit about Wakefield, because it looks like David Fafita's played his last game for them. He's kind of put social media stuff up on social media saying, "Come down to my last ever game for Trinity." So, they've already lost Tom Johnston for next year. Jacob Miller hasn't been announced to Castleford yet, but everyone's talking like it has, so we might as well. Bill Tupu retired, didn't he? Tinarau Rona I'm not sure if he's retiring but he's certainly leaving Wakefield, and I don't think he's going to play on at the top level next year. This is big holes in their side. So whilst it's good signing for Hull KR, it makes you think Wakefield are going to have to go through this all again next year.
Well, you do feel like they are constantly, having to top up their players. Their playing rota. They keep having some decent players, and straight away they're signed by someone else. But this feels like more than normal. And
it also, because these players might have sorted out their futures elsewhere a couple of months ago, more than likely. But Wakefield haven't been able to go and recruit people during that period because they don't know what division they're going to be in.
Exactly.
Well, they do now. Let's face it, they do. They as good as do now. The game we're going to talk about in a second made that, almost 100%. There's a sniff of a chance to lose still, but nothing more than that. But yeah. So you say it's good on the players wait until they're safe to try and help minimise any kind of unrest and stuff like that. But at the same time, if I was a Wakefield fan, it'd be good to hear from Ben or someone to sort of tell us what they're feeling about next year and how worried they are at this point in time, because they scrap it out every year. They've done it for 23 years now, haven't they? But still, it's worrying.
Yeah, you just feel like, how do they ever get out of this situation that they're in? Because if it's happening every year, and every year it's putting them at the bottom of the pile, and then they can't plan for next year, how does it ever become a thing that they're not at the bottom of the league?
Well, one of the things they can do is, obviously keep bringing through their own players to supplement, their squad strength. But when James Batchelor now, one of their own players they brought through, is gone, strong rumours Yusuf Aidin's off to Hull KR as well. Another one of their young players who started to establish himself this year. Tom Johnston, we talked about, he's gone to Catalans.
And he's been at Wakefield for a long time.
Yeah, I mean, there's other guys like Lewis Murphy, Jack Croft, Harry Bowes, kids there. But Brad Martin's leaving the team, isn't he? I think he's going to Keighley or something, I'm sure I read.
Right, yeah.
Their championship season next year. It just seems like, I guess it's the Scott Morrell replacement. So it just seems like, I don't know, even when they are producing players, they're not.
There's always someone that can come in and beat whatever they can offer.
Well, they're not retaining them forever, are they? And you don't expect to do that with anyone really. But yeah, I can fully imagine sort of last couple of weeks of pre-season next year them re-signing Ryan Hampshire again to see if he's recovered from his knee injury.
Yeah.
And see if he can do them a job and that sort of thing. And that's not how you build. It's not how you build, is it? So we'll see. Well, we'll see what they do. They've still got some good players there, haven't they? Mason Leno should still be there next year. They've got a good-looking centre partnership now. When you think of Reece Lynn and Corey Hall, so they have got some players.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to the final Friday night game. Wigan 52 Toulouse 6. It was 24-0 in a game that was all over by half-time. 12,145 was the crowd figure that was announced. Tom Grant was the referee. Wigan did an initiative where they kind of invited all of their staff to bring friends and family to the game, and all of the season ticket holders could apply for free tickets as well to bring friends and family to the game. So, they've done some initiatives this year in the games against Toulouse to get 12,000 plus crowds one way or another. I suppose it's commendable. In terms of the team stats, Toulouse were under 1,000 metres and below 90% team tackle success rate, so that equals a big loss. They also made more errors and conceded more penalties, so a hammering isn't a shock. Wigan made nearly 400 more metres than their visitors, 8 breaks to 1 and 9 tries to 1.
Yeah, individually for Wigan, it was Bevan French, again, a mere 3 tries and 105 metres. Abbas Miski with 122 metres. Liam Farrell with 1 try, 1 try assist, 5 tackle busts and 113 metres. And then for the losing Toulouse, it was Chris Hankinson with 147 metres, Matty Russell with 1 try, 8 tackle busts, 120 metres, and Maxime Stefani with 43 tackles, and 10 of which were marker tackles.
Yeah, just the 27 tries in 18 games in Super League for French this season. Jen K said, another good win against Toulouse. When they announced French's hat-trick, I was like, so what? That's how spoilt we are this season. Not sure where we're at in terms of performance following recent away losses. Unsure what to expect for next Friday or in the playoffs, but hoping we hit some 2016 playoffs type form and peak at the right time. Had to throw 2018 into that as well. We peaked at the right time that year too. But I take on board what Jen's saying there. I've seen a few other Wigan fans kind of saying similar sorts of things about like where are we really at? We're winning at home dead easily, like really easily. Our average margin of victory at home is 27 points per game.
Yeah,
which is insane. But away from home, we've had a few disappointing losses recently. It's just so good. It's just so good, Sarah. I don't know how I'm gonna. Like I said, I'd be strong when he gets announced that he's leaving, but I don't know. I don't know that I can be. My nephew certainly threw a bit of a wobbler when I explained to him that he's probably going back to Australia next year, and he was like, "But Jay Field's staying, isn't he?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, he's here still next year." He's like, "Good, because I don't know what I'd do if they both didn't play."
Yes, you're just spoiled over there.
Well, certainly, especially in home game. I mean, French's first try was just like magic. It was a bit sloppy from Toulouse. Their players running back, they didn't really think French would get back into the field of play to chase his own kick himself, but he did. Second try was a great try if it wasn't, if you ignore the fact that Field's pass was forward. It was a great try. Really good play from Jay Field.
It was a cheating movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's fine.
Yeah, if you ignore that part of it, it was great. I think Field, to be honest, could have dummied and gone himself. I think that's what French was expecting him to do anyway.